Hello, my friends. I hope you're having an outstanding, fabulous day. It is Real Estate Tuesday, and it's going to be a really exciting, exotic topic that you're all going to find interesting. Probably not. But thank you for being my friends. Thank you for being my subscribers. And if you're not, boom, smash that subscribe. Boom, smash that like, share my video, tell your friends. My real estate videos get very little traction. I don't care. I just have to do it psychologically. And if I preach this. If I help one person, I am tickled pink. So today, what are we talking about? ADUs. You can't see it here. You could here. Accessory dwelling units. What is an accessory dwelling unit? Alright, so I'm going to tell you what Fannie Mae says. Who's Fannie Mae? I already told you about Freddie Mac. Fannie Mae is like Freddie Mac, but even older. Fannie Mae, since 1938, Fannie Mae has provided a reliable source for mortgages. What do? Fannie Mae does what Freddie Mac does, but it is bigger. It buys up mortgages and then resells them on the secondary market. It is a powerhouse in regulating the mortgage housing industry, and basically says these are what mortgages must comport with, because Fannie Mae grabs these loans and then resells them on the secondary market. So Fannie Mae defines what a house is, what a trailer is, what the loan must consist of, and so forth. So Fannie Mae says an accessory dwelling unit is a smaller additional living space on the same property, the same lot as a single-family home. It must include space for living, sleeping, cooking, and bathrooms, independent of the primary residence. And while the ADU may or may not include access to the primary residence, it must be accessible without going through the primary residence, and there must be some expectation of privacy. So what does that mean? It means that an ADU is another place of living on the same lot as the single family residence. So the ADU, first, it's coming soon to a place near you. It is going to be more and more prevalent in the future. It can be a another detached building, home on the same lot. It can be attached to the single family home. It can be inside that single family home. It could be on an upper level. It could be on a lower level. It could be a basement. It could be a garage conversion. The most important thing, separate and apart and 100% standalone, meaning it has the bathroom, it has the kitchen, it has the living area. So it is its own separate entity for living, for someone to live in, separate and apart. Now, if it's in the basement, can you still have access to the primary residence? Yes, but it has to be controlled by the basement unit, not from the top unit, not from the main unit, not from the main house. Same thing if it was on the upper level. Can the upper level have access to the main residence? Yes, but it is at the will of the upper level. That is the expectation of privacy. And one of the reasons why Fannie Mae defines it is because Fannie Mae is involved with the lending of how money is used to create that ADU. Now, it is becoming more and more prevalent. In Maryland, in 2023, they created a task force, ADU policy task force. And in Maryland, many counties and jurisdictions have specific regulations about ADU. And there are several states that also have now created regulations and rules for ADU. There's many reasons, but two of the biggest reasons are we have an aging population, and we have an affordability issue with regards to where people can live. So in Maryland, they're looking at the ability to create a uniform set of regulations so that if somebody wants to create an ADU in their home or on their property, for in particular a loved one, a child, an aging adult, and they want to keep the family together and to minimize the cost and just the socio-economic benefit of keeping the family together, Maryland is working on regulations so that ADUs are easier to create in HOAs, in neighborhoods, zoning regulations and all. And that is going to be coming to more and more states as our population ages and as inventory of homes stays low and prices are high. ADUs provide the ability for someone to get a rental, because it doesn't necessarily have to be an aging person or a family member. It can be anybody that uses the ADU. And so the ADUs are going to be a benefit to someone who cannot afford a traditional high rent or purchase a home. Some of the big benefits for an ADU: we have a rental shortage, a housing shortage, and an affordability issue. So ADUs help that with regards to all three. More ADUs, more inventory for rent, and they tend to be cheaper than traditional rent, and it helps to conserve resources, in particular land. Affordable living, yes. ADUs can be very expensive to build. One reason why Maryland Task Force and other entities are working on streamlining regulations and rules and all is to minimize the expense, the governmental expense in the design and the permits and everything else. But for the person who is going to be renting an ADU, it's more affordable. It's a source of income for the person who creates the ADU. It can be a source of income. So if somebody is creating an ADU not for an aging relative or not for a child, or maybe even for a child, that person, that owner of the main residence, now has a source of income to help them. So an older person maybe cannot keep up with the upkeep of their home, needs a little bit of extra money. They create an ADU and rent it out, and that rental income allows the older person to hire somebody to keep up the house, or just to be able to age in place in their own residence. An alternative to assisted living. So the ADU being created for somebody who needs help. So an aging family member, it doesn't necessarily have to be a family member, but an aging person who ordinarily would have to go to assisted living to live, they can use the ADU. And then an increase in property value. So the ADU, depending on where you live, could increase your property value a lot or a little, but either way, there will be some increase in property values. So ADUs are going to be more and more prevalent in the future as our population ages, and how housing costs continue to increase and rental costs continuing to increase. And as I said, there's at least a half dozen states right now who are already working on rules and regulations to make ADUs easier to create and easier to put into traditional neighborhoods where they would be prohibited in the past. And that's happening in Maryland as well. All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed that this short little video about ADUs. I hope you got something out of it. I hope it planted a seed, because I know there are some of you who are like, boy, I'd like to bring up my in-laws, or I'd like to have my mom and dad move in. And this could be a great way to do it, because there are some HOAs are like, you can't do that. You can't build a separate unit on your property. You can't turn that garage into that. Well, regulations are coming to change that. And here's just an example. For years in Maryland, I'm just going to pick the simple one. For years in Maryland, if you lived in an HOA, most HOAs said no clothesline. Maryland passed a law that said, oh yeah, people can have a clothesline. They can stick their clean laundry out to dry, sun up to sun down, and then they have to. Then you can tell them to remove it. But the clothesline prohibition banned by Maryland, and that's going to be happening with ADUs in the future. All right, my friends, thank you very much for being my friends. Thank you for being my subscribers. And if you're not, please, boom, smash that subscribe, boom, smash that like, share my video, tell your friends. I love you all. See ya.